Well, welcome to episode 18 of the Ultimate Football Show podcast. My name is Chris and this is Matchday 18. And we're up to the quarter-final stage now. Friday, the games, Croatia up against Brazil and the Netherlands take on Argentina. Memories of finals gone by with those two clubs. Cracking events coming up. Quarter-final stage, Portugal scoring 6 to look really fantastic just the other day. What's going to happen on quarter-final day? It's the Friday action and Gary Chivers is along to talk us through it all. We're very happy to support the LilyWhiteFoundation.com, advancing young people through sport. For more information, visit LilyWhiteFoundation.com. You're listening to the Ultimate Football Show podcast with Gary Chivers and Chris Barnett. So we get into the quarter-final stage now of the World Cup. And on Friday, it is match day number 18 with 2 games to look forward to. Gary Chivers joins us once again to look at these. And we're going to start off with Brazil and Croatia, and then Holland, Argentina will follow. But just a quick word on some of the games that we've seen over the last couple of days, Gary, and Brazil knocking the goals in the first half. You know, absolutely fantastic play, as we expect from the Brazilians, but they really delivered. And then what about Portugal dropping Ronaldo, and then they get a kid coming in who's 21 years old and scores a hat-trick, and they knock 6 past your boring Switzerland. You must have been delighted.
I tell you what a brave move, though, from the Portuguese manager to drop Ronaldo. And it made me laugh, Chris. I have to say, every time Portugal scored a goal,
they
put the camera on Ronaldo straight away to see his reaction. And even when he came on for the last 10 or 15 minutes, and Pepe going over and giving him the armband, which was really nice. So he's really respected, but he is a force in that Portuguese side. The guy who come in, 21 years of age, I mean, his first goal was quite incredible because he shouldn't have had a shot. He shouldn't have had a shot from where he was. But always expect the unexpected, and he blasted it in the back of the net. He looked good, and then when they brought him off and sat him on the side, he sat down, the camera went on him, he had all smiles. He's a force. He's another force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, he's 21 years old. He's called Gonçalo Ramos. He's got a hat-trick. I think he's played like half an hour for Portugal in important games before that game in the World Cup. And they're up against Morocco now on Saturday, and we'll preview that game. We'll talk about Ramos, Ronaldo, João Felix, Pepe, who's 40-odd, so unbelievable age. Anyway, we'll talk about that in Matchday 19, episode 19. So watch out for that. But I couldn't see Portugal hitting 6 against Switzerland, but boy, they were brilliant. And Ramos, just youth, wasn't it? I mean, no one in the right mind would hit that ball with his left foot to the top corner. I mean, the goalkeeper didn't even think it was coming. Incredible goal, really.
He hit it with such force, Chris, on that turn. It's just taking him by surprise. I heard one of the people criticise the goalkeeper, but when you're hitting it with that force, you've got no chance.
No.
His overall movement, Chris, was fantastic, though, during the game. He is an out-and-out goal scorer, Ramos. And do you know what? Sometimes it's harder to play against someone you don't know. No one's heard of him. All of a sudden, like, they bring him on, they drop Ronaldo. He must have been banging him in training as well.
Yeah, he must have done something. Good. What a call for the coach. I mean, the coach doesn't look like he's got a care in the world, to be fair. And I don't think he reads any of the tweets that are sent out there. He doesn't look that kind of guy. But what a call to make. Anyway, we'll talk about Portugal in episode 19. Really interesting team they've become in the latter part of this tournament. But match day 18, Croatia up against Brazil is the first game. They play similar styles. Look from the lineup, they both played a 4-1-2-3. You've got the Croatian team with Brozovic, who's the holding midfielder, Modric has got a brilliant turn of the way he passes the ball, just exquisite. Modric and Kovacic as the two in midfield, with Brozovic just behind them. And then up front, you've got Perisic, the Tottenham player who seems to score quite a lot, and Kramaric, who plays out on the right, where's the number 9? He's playing really well. And then they've got this defender that's attracting attention, wearing the face mask. He's called Gvardiol, the young 21-year-old defender who's been brilliant. And as a former defender yourself, you'll really appreciate how he's done in this World Cup.
He's been a standout player for Croatia. Where it's drawn attention that he's wearing a face mask, but every time you see him when he plays, he's cutting up, intercepting play. He's good on the ball. He's decent on the ball. He's the standout player. There'd be a queue of clubs, I think, Chris, at the end of this World Cup. They'd be looking for a player of his stature, and he plays like a veteran. Really, he knows the game. He knows where to be in relation to the ball.
Yeah,
he's Croatia's standout player.
He's fantastic, and I guess the clubs, I know Chelsea have been interested in him for a while, and they've been interested in a few, and sometimes it's good for them to go to the World Cup and not play so well. But of course, if they go to the World Cup and stand out, then the price goes up. I hear that Cody Gakpo, over the Dutch player, they've doubled his price now. So Gvardiol will be costing a lot more. But he looks worth it. And, of course, he's so young as well, isn't he?
Just before we went into for the transfer embargo, where we couldn't buy anyone, Chelsea were like 6 to 8 weeks behind everyone else in the transfer market. So they had to go out and get what I call experienced players, Chris. You didn't have no chance to blood in youngsters. Now we've the season's settled down, the embargo's lifted, they can go out and buy young players. And that's what they'll probably do. They'll start building. And it's no better to have, a team of 23-year-olds, 24-year-olds, where you're going to have them for the next 6 or 7 years, which would be brilliant for the club.
Certainly when they're playing for their national teams as well. I mean, that really does bode well for the future. Croatia are not exciting to watch, you'd have to say, even with Perisic and Kramaric up front, solid in that midfield. They don't give the ball away too much. They can hold the ball if they need to. But playing Brazil, as I said, they match up in the lineup 4-1-2-3. But Brazil's, the 2 and 3 at the front are totally different, aren't they? I mean, they've got brilliant players. Vinicius Jr. scored a goal. Richarlison can't stop scoring goals at the moment. Neymar's taking up bit parts. He's not dominating games as I think the Brazilian fans wanted him to, but he's there when he needs to be there, and he's supplying the nice passes here and there. And what a pass, by the way, from Thiago Silva for that Richarlison goal. First time, edge of the box. He's supposed to be a central defender. That was unbelievable midfield type play, wasn't it? The passing was just so fast.
I was just thinking, Chris, what was he doing up there? It comes from a passage of play on the right hand side.
Yeah.
And the ball, as soon as the ball, Richarlison let it ran first, and then that ball back was quite an incredible ball. It was done at the right pace at the right time. Everything was score a goal for us, and he's certainly done that. But they played with a lot of passion. The Brazil for the first half, they looked unstoppable. The way they played. And then they sort of like second half, I thought they took the foot off the gas. It was like the game's
do you not
won
think
now.
they just sort of they'd won it anyway? They didn't really need to bother, did they?
No, well, they even started showboating some of them, and I was thinking, no, the manager must be going absolutely crazy on the side. But they did look good. They did look good.
Maybe they just run out of dance moves after each goal. They'd had the 4, and they'd have to go practice a few more for the next round. I mean, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for Croatia to stop them. I mean, I don't think Brazil are going to be able to dominate them as they did against the previous team. But Brazil still got to be big favourites to win that quarter-final, don't they?
Yeah, massive favourites. If they start off, and you look at their side and the way they play, that they play with that samba beat. It's all quick. They all enjoyed scoring a goal. There was 11 of them, I think, all going up and, like you said, doing the dance move, putting their hands. They're going to have to think of a new dance, I think, if they get a go against Croatia.
Well, they had the coach doing the dance move, and he looked like the last time he had the dance was about 1972.
He had one of your suits on, Chris, I think.
And he was wearing your shoes as well. There you go.
But yeah, I mean, they looked incredible, Brazil, and it's the passion they play with, Chris. What I like as well, you know, they're very, very passionate about playing for their country, and it was just so good to see.
So we both expect Brazil to win that one. I don't think it's going to be as big a scoreline, but I think sort of 2-0 would be my kind of tip for that quarterfinal.
I would say obviously Brazil. You got to say Brazil, but yeah, 2-0 or 3-1. You know,
okay.
But yeah.
Well, the goalkeepers only had a couple of shots to save in the whole tournament, and they brought the third team goalkeeper on, didn't they, for the last half an hour? And I mean, honestly, they're about taking the mick with the dancing, bringing the third team goalkeeper on. So all three goalkeepers have played now for Brazil, and they're still only like one in. Unbelievable team. Anyway, that's the afternoon game on Friday. In the evening, it's memories of finals gone by as the Netherlands play Argentina, and they've got different styles of playing. Holland got a 3-4-1-2. So they're not in the same as Argentina, who play with a slightly different attitude of 4-1-2 and 3. Now, Holland or Netherlands, whichever you want to call them, you know, they've got Depay up front, who really didn't do that well for Manchester United when he played there, but seems to have come on since then. We mentioned Cody Gakpo, who's attracting the attention. They got Klaassen in behind them, and they've got a pretty solid defence with Nathan Ake for Manchester City, obviously former Chelsea and Bournemouth as well. A couple of your teams in there, and Van Dijk, who is another one of those players who just knows where to be when he has to be there. What have you made of Holland so far?
I think they've played really, really well. They're not as creative as the Hollanders from many, many years ago. You know, when you looked at the way Cruyff played for them and their team of the 70s and 80s. But they do look organised, very, very organised. And with Van Dijk at the back, marshalling them, I mean, he's been superb. I don't think he's broken sweat, by the way, for the first 4 or 5 games. He always looks like he's got another gear to go into, Chris. But you mentioned Memphis Depay there and Cody Gakpo, really, really exciting players. And that'd be a tough game for him, a really tough game.
Yeah, because Argentina, who they're up against, you know, they've got Otamendi at the back, haven't they? And Romero and players like that. But you don't feel that they're totally solid there, do you? They have Fernandes playing in front of the back four, and then Brighton's McAllister's been getting a couple of games recently. But up front with Messi and Julian Alvarez, Manchester City striker, he's pretty good. He's come good as well to support Messi. What are your thoughts on Messi this time around? Because you weren't impressed last game. What about when they beat Australia, which was closer than many people thought in the end? I know you fancied Australia for a bit of a shock. It was only 2-1, but I suppose they'd scored the second goal early and they just felt comfortable that they weren't going to lose Argentina.
I just think with the players they've got, and they've got some decent players, Argentina, but they still rely solely, I think, on Messi, on what he does. They seem as the creative element in that side, and yet they've got so many. And you mentioned the players who've got so many good other players, but they all rely on Messi. And if Messi plays bad, it looks like Argentina plays bad. So from that point of view, if Holland stopped Messi playing, they'll stop Argentina. And I really fancy Holland, by the way, against Argentina.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think that looking at the sides, I think the way that they're more, how can I say, disciplined at the back with that back four of Holland. I do fancy Holland against the Argentinian side.
Okay,
and they'll probably put someone on Messi, and it's how well he does against him. But he hasn't been as bright as what I thought he'd be, Messi, this World Cup.
Right. Okay. So you're going for Holland to beat Argentina.
I'm going for Holland to beat Argentina. Yeah.
I think this one's going to go to a draw, and it might even go down to penalties, and who knows? Although you can't take any worse penalties than the Spanish. 3 misses. I mean,
that was great, wasn't it? And they weren't even hit properly, were they? Any of the penalties weren't driven. It was like, good saves from the keeper. You got to give him a bit of credit as well, because he kept on feinting to dive one way and obviously just dive the other way, and he done it 3 times. You think, let's cotton on to this. Do you know what I mean? What did we cotton on? But
how tough was Hakimi, who took the final penalty for Morocco, to do the Panenka down the middle in the World Cup? He could have looked like a complete and utter idiot, and he chipped it down the middle to put him through. I mean, balls of steel, or just, again, another young kid that goes, I don't care?
But I think the young kids, I think you've just hit the nail on the head. It's the young kids, they don't care. If the goalkeeper, I always think, if the goalkeeper stays there, I think they've got to stay there. Do you know what I mean? Because some of the dives and some of the penalties were 2 yards in. It just goes to show, Chris, what pressure's on them for taking. But that last penalty, that little chip was the icing on the cake for me. That was brilliant.
But when you look at it the other way, when Neymar took his penalty against South Korea and he sort of did a stutter, the South Korean goalkeeper didn't actually move at all until the ball had gone past him. So he looked like the idiot. So you can't win as a keeper, can you? And all this having to stand with your toes on the line, they've got no chance, really. I mean, it's pure luck which way they go.
Yeah, and it was good to see the camaraderie he had with the other goalkeeper as well, shaking hands before the penalties, wishing him all the best, and that was good to see. But yeah, 3 great saves.
Okay, so before we let you go, we're going to just one word, a very quick word. Of course, Matchday 19 is on Saturday. It's Morocco-Portugal. But in a very brief word here, can England beat France on Saturday? And if so, how do they do it? Very briefly.
I think England can beat France. I think we've got to play 5 at the back. We've got to double up and help Walker out. We've got to bring Maguire on for Giroud, let him man mark him. But I think Walker will need a little bit of help against Mbappe. And if we stop Mbappe playing, we can stop them from playing.
And the agent of Jude Bellingham has called me up to tell you were wrong. He played. He was man of the match. You can't drop him now, Gary.
No, he's. Do you know what? I've been looking at my side. Pickford, Walker, Maguire, Stones, Shaw. Do you know what? Will he be brave? Will he go with 3 at the back? Will he bring in Dyer? That's the conundrum he's got at the moment, Mr. Southgate. Will he bring in Dyer?
Don't do that. Don't do that. What are you doing to us?
Listen, they change it. Even though they've played well, they've changed it. They've changed it before. He'll go with Henderson and Rice. Henderson was magnificent.
Yeah.
Bellingham, I'll eat my words, was absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
And our man Kane up front getting his goal, which is great.
We're very happy to support the lilywhitefoundation.com, advancing young people through sport. For more information, visit lilywhitefoundation.com.
I'm Gary Chivers. You're listening to the Ultimate Football Show podcast.
There we go. That's it for episode 18 on Matchday 18. Croatia, Brazil, Netherlands, Argentina. They're the games on this day. For Saturday, we'll be back. Matchday 19. Look out for episode 19. Morocco up against Portugal, who looked really good the other day. And it's England, France, the 7 o'clock kickoff, UK time. Gary will be along to talk along. So will Stanford Chidge and Gus Ferguson as well. All talking about the England-France game. Can England go through to the semi-finals? We'll see you then.